All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Thursday, August 9th, 2018. It's going to be another triple-digit day here on the high desert. I spent most of yesterday inside. We've got fires all around us, so there's this constant haze, and you can't really smell the smoke, but occasionally you can. So we don't like to be out in it. Plus, it's just too hot. So we've been staying inside, binge watching different things on Netflix. We come out when we can, but usually not till the evening, or at least not till maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I am going to have to probably process some tomatoes today, so I'll have to go. I'll have to brave the outside and go over there and see what tomatoes I have to add to what I have in the kitchen. I want to have enough so I can do at least 4 quarts. That seems to work out well. Having to stand there at the stove and chop up tomatoes by hand is taxing, so that's about all I can do at one given time. Well, today is a number 1 day, numerologically, meaning new beginnings, so we'll see if the cards and the runes say something about that. So let's count 13 and see what we have for today. Okay, the 5 of Swords. We haven't gotten a whole lot of swords. Lately, we've been getting mostly earth cards and water and fire, a lot of will, a lot of wands. We've been getting a lot of wands. This is one of the first times that we've gotten a swords card. And swords is our intellectual presence. It can mean how we communicate with others. It can mean, it can also mean intuition, although typically that's usually more will and emotion. You find that there. It's about decision making. It's about basically how we interact with others. And here we see a guy who's holding he's holding 2 swords over his shoulder. He's got one in his other hand. People look bereft on the waterfront there. There's been a battle, and you see swords on the ground, and there's 2 swords. I'll move my fingers there. There's 2 swords on the ground. The clouds are kind of sketchy in the sky. So either there's been a struggle and this guy's collecting the spoils, or maybe he's taking all these things while their backs are turned. But clearly there's been some conflict. Sometimes this is shown as a playful struggle between people, so it's not real serious, but clearly something's changed. 5 is the number for change. And so something within the relationship has changed. And while he looks somewhat happy, the other 2 really don't. Their heads are bowed. Their body language is one of possibly weariness or maybe grief. One guy even looks bloodied. But the smile on this guy's face, you know, if you can see that, you see he has kind of a smile on his face. So is he really sharing in their grief? But basically what we're looking at again is we're looking at a struggle between people. And basically we're talking about interference and loss of some kind, defeat of some kind. Because it's swords, it could be that there are people that are jealous, or maybe people that are talking about you behind your back. There's judgment happening. There's been a breakdown somewhere. Perhaps there's interference happening. clearly defeat, maybe some loss. So hopefully we're not experiencing that today. Um, but if we are, then I think it's best just to sit back and sit tight and see. You know, sometimes our comments can get the better of us, and sometimes they can cause trouble that wouldn't happen. Um, Swords is about judgment and challenges of passing judgment on others as well. And so something clearly has happened either between friends or family where maybe there's miscommunication. Perhaps that's what's going on, where one is not respecting the others and the others are just in total grief over what this one person is doing. Um, in a sense, he's preventing anything meaningful from happening by standing there, you know, like he's doing, holding on to those three swords. There's no balance. The other two are on the ground, and he's just going to take whatever he wants, it looks like, and control everything. Whereas the other two people, you know, they can't even look at him. They don't see what he's doing. They're too wrapped up in the emotion of all of it, apparently. But let's see what the rune has to say. Isa. Isa is a Norn rune. It's the 11th rune of the Elder Futharks, making it a master number numerologically, so we're not going to reduce this. You could reduce it to 2 or balance, which clearly, you know, he doesn't have any. But Isa is one of the 3 runes that are attributed to the Norns of Fate. They were the goddesses that that control the well of word or men's fate, and they're the ones that gave the runes to Odin when he hung upside down from the world tree from Yggdrasil to gain enlightenment. And part of that enlightenment were the runes that were given to him by the Norns. Isa is about the static realm. It's about the present moment. It's a water rune. It's about, so again, change, but it's change that comes about from a fixed standpoint. You could draw this on a child. If say your child had a fever, you could draw Isa on his forehead to help bring down a fever. But basically, it freezes a situation in place. And what that means is that it brings everything to a standstill. When you don't know what's going on, you know, deception is a huge part of our lives anymore, isn't it? When you don't know what's going on in a situation, when maybe you've got a situation in your family or between friends or coworkers where communication is broken down and things aren't happening, sometimes you need to bring yourself inward and just let things be and let the time pass. Sometimes people respond to emotional waves. It's like, you know what a sine wave looks like. It looks like this. Okay, well, we all have moods that are going up and moods that are going down. And if you look at a biorhythm chart, you'll look at intellect, you'll look at usually spirituality, you'll look at emotions, physical aspects, and you'll see on any given day, based on your time of birth or date of birth, what your biorhythm is. And so maybe sometimes these things happen when things are in the peaks and the valleys. That's usually where the troubles happen between people. Either someone is expressing too much or they're not saying anything at all. And so there's no real communication that's happening, and that's when things break down. Isa can bring everything to a still point to assist you in the development of your will and to figure out what it is that's truly happening here. It's considered a binding rune. It is a bridge to consciousness. It talks about stillness and holding ego together. But basically, Isa is about bringing the will together and emotion together and mind, body, spirit together in harmony and maintaining that focus to at least not contribute to the situation at hand. Um, It can also indicate when Isa comes about that the process itself is stuck. In here, if you're having a problem with someone or a group of people, if it's a problem within your family or within friends or whatever, maybe the process is so broken down that things are stuck. So, and nothing can move forward. So that would be the other aspect of Isa, is it's telling us that what we have here is a situation that's just stuck and people aren't talking to one another. So if you're experiencing that in your life, please understand that if it's coming from you and you're the one that's making everybody else feel like, you know, what's going on, consider the effect that that has on others. Um, consider the impact of your choices and your decisions and your behavior on others to either extend love or withdraw love, to talk to other people or you don't talk to other people. But really, it comes down to, do you want to see a solution to a problem that exists between you and someone else, or do you not? And sometimes, if you're on the receiving end of this stuff, you know, if you're the two guys that are looking away and in grief, it's hard to reach out. And sometimes you just don't, because you feel like, well, if you don't reach out, then maybe whatever is going on will resolve itself if you just back off. And so, if you're experiencing something like that today, then Isa is basically telling you that's okay to do that. Um, it isn't good to force a situation with people, but at the same time, if you're experiencing this, go within, find your own peace, because whatever's happening as a result of other people's behavior, just it need not affect you as much as perhaps it is. These two guys in the picture, you know, they're in grief. You know, they're tired. They've had enough. They can't even look at what's going on. One guy's even holding his head. So whatever is happening, communication wise or relationship wise in your lives today, if there's an issue, if there's a struggle, if you're on the receiving end of it, just let it be and be still about it and let it go and focus on something else. You can't change what another person feels. If they want to behave in a deceptive way, they're going to do that. They're playing out something on a soul level that they may not even be aware of. But for those individuals that are on this other end of it, that are maybe causing this for people, pay attention to what you're doing to someone else. Pay attention to how much you're hurting them. When things are not right between people, when they're supposed to be, it can cause people tremendous grief, and they don't know what to do about it, especially if they don't know what the problem is. So here, this is telling us that there's a lot of miscommunication, that something could be happening, causing a lot of grief for some people. And, you know, there's two sides to this, to a situation. Maybe the person who's taking the swords away has a point. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's something that's just within them that makes them go and do this. But at the end of the day, the effect is what the issue is. The effect is you've got people that are experiencing such loss that they can't even look at what's going on. It's just too much for them. So it's not good to be on either side of that spectrum. But it is something, and that's the other thing. We think these things are polar opposites when they're part of this same story. You know, we think we're on opposite sides of an issue when the issue is the greater story itself, and we're just acting out pieces of it. So whatever is happening in this scene in the tarot card in the Five of Swords today, these people are playing out both sides of that equation. Whatever is happening there, whatever the truth of that moment is, you've got two sides here, right, that are playing this out. And it's all part of that same experience. It's just people are coming at it from different standpoints. The goal is to see ourselves in the on the other person, to understand why this person may be doing what he or she's doing, but at the same time understand how it might be hurtful to others. So that's kind of the I think that may be the experience for today. So um, I haven't finished the new blog post yet, the Exploring Tarot blog post yet on the Wildwood Tarot, but I'm going to do that today. So check for that on the blog at imsteppingaside.com. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really like doing these things, and I hope you do too. I'm Jan Erickson with Stepping Aside. This has been Somewhat Daily Tarot Rune. Thank you so much for stopping by, and blessed be.